We're kicking off with this conversation about Sasha Banks being the Raw Women's Champion now. Of course, this situation first started unfolding at the horror show at Extreme Rules, where Sasha illegally won the title, really, due to champion's advantage. That belt should have then gone back to Asuka, but Stephanie McMahon, in her infinite ratings-grabbing wisdom, said, no, you must face Sasha Banks to win back the title that's yours, because nobody holds it right now. It's in abeyance to effect. And that meant nobody could interfere. Oh,
but it wasn't. Like, Sasha still had the belt. Not only that, she had nameplates on it. So, I mean, I missed last week's show.
Yeah.
But Sasha did have the belt when she came out. So she was the champion because she had her nameplates on it as well, right?
But so in the confines of wrestling, in the kayfabe world, I can only imagine that she made those nameplates and put them on because she believes she's the champion. But by the rules, Asuka's the champion, but Stephanie further complicated it by saying no one is the champion.
Okay, so no one was the champion going in. Cool.
Going in, vacant was the champion, I guess.
Mm-hmm. With you so far.
But the key thing here was that no one can interfere. The title could change hands on a DQ or a countout. I thought they booked the match really well. Usually when WWE has a stipulation like that, every other spot right from the get-go is, teasing a DQ, teasing a countout. But using the brilliant example of Money in the Bank 2011, Randy Orton versus Christian, it was only appearing in spots here and there. So you kind of forgot that was in play.
I loved this match. Like their match at Extreme Rules, I loved this match. I didn't like the finish, much like their match at Extreme Rules. I did not like the finish. And it was just like this whole thing just felt like it was a victim of being in this sort of ratings grab era of WWE that we're currently in, where it's like, well, we don't really know we're not booking anything long term at the moment. We're just shotgun affecting everything in the vague hope that some people will come back and watch this show. So nothing really, like, booking just sort of doesn't matter anymore. It's just, we're just doing things for moments. And that I think are really affected this finish, where it wouldn't have mattered so much if Extreme Rules didn't have 3 other screwy finishes. And now we just go into this show where it's like, well, it's just another screwy finish. And it reminded me of, do you remember like Adam's booking video he did about Jinder? Where Jinder won the WWE title. And he said there were some people who said like, well, he's getting good heel heat. And Adam said, yeah, but was he getting heel heat or was the company getting heel heat? And I feel that's what it is. Like, Banks getting the belt here, I don't think is heel heat on her and Bayley. It's just heel heat on the company for doing various screwy finishes and giving Asuka a dreadful title run.
Interesting. Now, I don't know if this is because I've got low standards, but I liked this, and I had no problems with them winning all the belts. I haven't actually seen anyone make that criticism yet. Weirdly, I've seen quite a few people saying, oh, you all wanted Sasha as the champion, and now she's got the belts, you all turn on her. And I'm like, who's turned on her? I can't see them, but now I know it's you, Luke. You are the person.
No, do you know what? Because I said at Extreme Rules, I wanted Sasha Banks to win. And I wanted I wanted them to hold all 4 belts because I love this act. And I'm very glad that they have got the belts. How we got there, I think, has been a bit rubbish. But, you know, at the end of the day, I suppose I did get what I wanted because I wanted Sasha with the Raw Women's Championship. It's just that, like, as I said to you kind of jokingly in the podcast intro for this show that we record the audio version of, I just think they should have given the title at Extreme Rules rather than doing these sort of screwy nonsense in a way to get ratings. Because that's why we're doing this, is because ratings are bad. So they changed the finish of the Extreme Rules match to be a screw so that we could do something on Raw in 2 weeks' time to try and bump a rating.
The problem is ratings are bad right now. And of all the ways WWE has responded to that, Ollie, the caveman, has just said, Ollie, you have really low standards. Look who my co-host is. I know. Of all the ways WWE have responded to low ratings, which, you know, it's sort of something they can't control right now because of coronavirus, sure, but also 5 to 15 years of just bad programming, to be honest, which has failed to create new stars or make anything feel meaningful. Of all of that, I actually quite like the way this is all unfolded. I think this is more akin to a fun, hot-shotty, sure, storyline from the Attitude Era, where it's just chucking titles back and forth. It's not like Asuka had this great title run initially. She was only ever handed the title. So I'm not like, oh, Asuka's great streak. If anything, I'm kind of happy that it's been taken off her, because I think Sasha is a great heel. She's got this great act with Bayley going on. And I'm really optimistic. I'm more optimistic about continuing this Asuka feud with the role models than I am for Asuka moving into a program with Shayna Baszler immediately. Someone who has had no real build and the legs cut out from underneath her since WrestleMania, because the other part of this story is that Asuka was meant to retain at Extreme Rules, but that was changed last minute. And then she was meant to start a program with Shayna Baszler, who was going to attack Kairi Sane, write Kairi Sane off TV. That was going to be the impetus to the start of their feud. But that didn't happen either. That spot went to Bayley. So now Asuka seems to be continuing her storyline with Banks, which I'm all for, because it's been the best thing on Raw for 4 weeks now.
I'll agree with you on that one, because Asuka's title run has been nothing short of pants. Like, she, as you say, it's hard to, because she was handed the belt, sure. Like, I think the way that WWE tried to frame it was, well, she won it at Money in the Bank, but really it never felt like she did win it at Money in the Bank. It really did feel like she was just handed the belt. And then she had that terrible program with Nia Jax. She kept losing to Charlotte Flair. Then she went into this feud with Banks, where she also couldn't win there either. And now we're in this position where she has just dropped the belt. So yeah, it was a very, very bad title run. I'm actually much happy that it is on Banks. As I said, like, I just thought that the way we got here was a bit, it's just like, I'm not a fan of this ratings grab era. Like, we are announcing WWE Championship matches for this week's show, and then actually changing our minds, and turns out it's just a non-title now, because which is remarkable, because this show was taped last week on the same day that they announced it was going to be a championship match, and then changed their mind within the 2-hour gap between the tapings.
Yeah, Vince is somehow managing to change his mind the week after the day of the show. That's like time travel shenanigans right there. But I agree with you on the Drew and Dolph stuff. Sometimes changing plans last minute doesn't necessarily mean a bad program, though. Usually it does. But in this instance, in the women's division, I think I'm really into the story. I'm really into the characters. So I don't think we've actually talked about what happened at the end of the match. This great match, by the way, really, really dramatic. Sasha feels the most credible she ever has on the main roster. That sort of vicious, legit boss act that she had in NXT. I feel that now. I feel that in these matches with Asuka. And they're working towards the finish. Asuka's leg's been worked over for the whole match. She's just about to get on top, but Bayley is shown on the Titantron attacking Kairi Sane quite brutally backstage, and Kairi Sane is screaming for Asuka's help. And Asuka runs back there, well, hobbles back, I guess, because of her leg injury. And she gets counted out. That was the finish there. And later on, the role models are sort of joking around outside of Kairi Sane or the medics training room area. And Asuka walks out afterwards and lets loose this really emotional howl. And I'm into that story.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm being down on this unfairly so, perhaps. And because, like, Banks just should have won the title at Extreme Rules. And you could have still played this out. You still could have done this beatdown of Kairi Sane, because Kairi beat Bayley last week, which now when you look at it, it's like, why did Kairi Sane beat Bayley last week? Because she's gone now. Like, it literally achieved nothing.
That's silly. Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah. And like, it raises the question, like, who put that up on the Titantron? Who showed that to Asuka to distract her? Because it wasn't Bayley and it wasn't Banks. So who was it that put it up on the screen?
The hacker, maybe. Ali turned up last week.
So I just think that, like, so you're telling me that you think this is better than Banks just winning at Extreme Rules?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like what difference would it make, to be honest? That this is like it's an intriguing
storytelling.
Well, I don't think it's inconsistent. I think this is
But
week to week.
I've been an absolute mess since Extreme Rules.
I think this is cliffhanger soap opera storyline week to week, where a gazillion things are happening, but they're not necessarily contradicting each other. Sure, the Bayley Kairi Sane thing is not effective because Bayley should have really beaten her up there. Although, you could make the argument that that's fueled Bayley's rage to attack her backstage here. I don't think anything actually jars with the story as it's been told so far.
I don't know, because like Banks didn't steal the belt. She did, but she was also kind of the champion. Like, I know you can logic hold yourself and say like, she put the side plates on herself, but we're not showing that as an audience. We're just showing that she's coming out as the Raw Women's Champion with a belt that's got her name on it. And then they're like, no, but Asuka's not the champion either. It's Vacant that's the champion because Stephanie McMahon, for whatever reason, Stephanie McMahon is back to announce this match. That's why I feel like it's been a little bit sloppy. That's the word I would use to describe this. I'm all for cliffhangers. I'm all for like soap opera storytelling. But I think this is a sloppy way of doing it. I think this has been a sloppy storyline.
Are you accusing WWE of running a sloppy show?